Hey guys, Justin here. Today I'm going to be making a video with a really cool member of the community. If you have ever raced in top split A fixed NASCAR, you most likely have raced with Aharon before. Just this past season alone, he boasts the second most total wins for A fixed, along with fourth in championship points. But did you know that he is fully deaf? So today I'm going to chat with him with the help of his super awesome interpreter, and we'll discuss next gen, what it's like racing without sound, and so on. Alright, so I'm here with Aharon. Welcome to the channel. How are you doing tonight?
Super. Really pretty good. Sunday, so yeah, it's been a nice day.
Well, I'm usually used to seeing you in J-Bo's chat where I just ban you over and over again, so this is a different side of things.
For sure. Oh, that's so true. That's funny. It's true, though. I'm always doing the chats, right? Now you get to see me in person. You get to see my face. It's
Yeah.
a different vibe, right?
I know a lot of people in community probably recognize your name from how much you raced, and so I think it's one, they'd be shocked to know that you are fully deaf, and two, they finally get to put a face to your name.
That's true. That's true. I've made videos of myself in the past on my trailer. You know, I have a video trailer that explains the rating that we do. But it is nice to be invited here, and that way people can connect my face with my name.
Yeah, so please be sure to go check out Heron's channel. I'll link it right here and in the description. He makes some really cool videos, and usually the audio is mixed well too somehow.
Yeah, exactly. It isn't easy, of course, but I do try my best. Every time I sign something, I can see that the voice is triggering the amp, so I try to splice it together, but it is quite a bit of work.
That makes sense. So the first question that I have is, how did you even get into sim racing?
Growing up, of course, my whole life, I just loved racing in general. And fortunately enough, my parents were happy to give me a car. I think my first car was an MS Microfit MS Sidewinder, it was called. Yeah, it was a Sidewinder, a red car, tiny little Sidewinder I had back in the day when I was real. So anyway, I just got hooked to racing, was in it my whole life. I was born into it, I guess, and I had the passion to race as a result of that growing up. So anyway, that got me into iRacing, of course, after that.
So did you start out in iRacing really early, or were you in some other sims before that?
No, you're right. I started in other games first. I was GTR2 and RF Tracker and NRV3. Variety of other games, a lot of racing sim games that I was involved in first. The sim racing, I did that first just for enjoyment, for the speed and the Fortuna I did, and GTS. I was doing those kinds of races, so many different ones I was involved with, just racing in general. So then I started to do sim, and it just made a lot of sense. I didn't join iRacing until 2020.
Oh, wow.
That's when I finally got into iRacing.
What was that like when you first got into iRacing? Was it something completely different, or were you already a little bit comfortable getting into it?
Yeah, it was pretty different. You're right. It was a little bit of a transition. You know, that I am. All the other racing was quite a bit different than that. I noticed they had their own characters and their own sort of character content. They would not like others, so it was really different. If I compared it to NRV3, that was completely different. The driving and the testing is different. But for me, I didn't know it entirely, but I knew enough in order to jump in.
Awesome. So when you're racing, since you have one less sense to work with, how do you approach learning stuff? How do you approach driving the car and feeling everything?
Yeah, sure. Well, my car has pedals, right? So I'm feeling it with my feet, and the back has vibration. So if I lose traction or something, I sense it when I'm drifting, and I can feel that vibration on my feet from the wheels. Like they sort of, it gives me that vibe through my feet. But anyway, other things too. I've had other experiences like just my whole life doing this kind of racing, so it's sort of become a part of my body. When I see the car, it seems like I can tell just visually it's losing control to react to it. I just have internalized that experience throughout my whole life, just growing up doing that. So it's kind of part of my chemistry. It's hard to explain how my body just seems to sort of connect with it, but it's just an internalized experience by now.
The car just kind of becomes an extension of you, it seems like.
Exactly, pretty much. Yeah, that's true. That's a great way to think of it.
So, one thing that we haven't talked about yet is how you have taken the next gen world by storm this year, and we like to call it farming your way all the way up to 7,000 iRating. What has it been like in that car that makes it click with you so much?
Oh man, I get that question a lot, honestly. Why next generation? Why my truck and not some other kind of car? Why? And so for me, I don't know. It's just something like it just clicks with me. It's probably because the next gen driving style is just so completely different than anything else. I guess that I've been able to make the transition to that style, and it just really fits me. It's a perfect fit. So everything's working out when I feel confident in that space. So it was when I started doing the next generation, I just felt good. It didn't feel awkward at all. It was second nature right away. I tried my best to keep up, and I felt, like I could do it. I don't know why exactly. It's sort of a hard question to answer. I'm not really sure, but next generation is what I'm about.
Do you really know what you're feeling and what you're looking for with the next gen that makes it so intuitive for you? Are you able to catch the car quicker? Are you able to sort of predict what it's going to do better than any other car?
For next generation, for me, I see it as hugely sensitive. It's way more sensitive in a way. It's like heat sensitivity in the way that it functions. That car has to have it's really smooth. You can't push it hard. You got to finesse it. It's much more sensitive in the way you have to approach it. Like with that truck, the Infinity car, yeah, that one. Gosh, you could just throw it and it'll still drive just fine. You can mistreat it. It's not as sensitive, but the next generation is really tight and very much more sensitive in that way. So it's more responsive. Yeah, it's just something I look for, and yeah, I crave that. I guess it's something different compared to the truck.
Well, what's interesting too is that when I drive next gen, it feels like no two fixed setups feel the same. So, how do you manage that and are still fast every single week?
Oh yeah. Well, at the beginning of the heat, right? When you first start, like when it started in wintertime, January, the very old package, the very 500 app, whatever. The first one I hated. Ugh, it was terrible. But after that, when they made the update and they made the changes, still struggles. A little bit of a struggle. Wasn't as fast, but I started to figure it out. And then after that, I guess I just raced a lot, and then I saw the patterns and started to pick it up. And either it was because it was super tight and or it was super loose, and so I had to find sort of that middle ground. It never seemed like it was just right down the middle that way. So that first week, I really had to practice quite a bit, put in the time until I could get the feel of the set. And then once I had the sense of it, then obviously after that, gosh, it would start to eat up the back wheels, right? When I was going real fast. And so it could do that rather easily. But if it was real tight, then I'd have to just kind of go easy and not push it too hard. So I just had to practice the kind of pattern, trial and error. I had to race a lot. I guess the time, putting the time into it, right? Seat time, just get used to the patterns.
So, what do you think that you rely on the most when you're driving, not just the next gen car, but any car? Do you think it's the actual visuals? Do you think it's what you're feeling in your wheel? Or do you even think it's what you're feeling in your pedals?
Oh yeah, that's a great question. It's not easy to answer that one. It's sort of everything. Well, without the steering wheel, I wouldn't be able to feel that tension or the wobble or the road. I'd kind of lose that sense of the traction, right? It lets me know which way my wheels are going and how things are going on the ground, and my foot pedals too. I would need that too. Without the vibration of that, I would have I'd really wouldn't know whether I'd pressed too hard or not. So the vibration back, that haptic stuff gets right. It just tells me. And then without all of the details visually, I wouldn't be able to read my situation and use that sort of high-level racing technique that I have. I need all three. All of them really have to come together synergistically to make it perfect. It requires the whole package. Yeah, I just wanted to mention too that the direct
drive.
the direct drive. I feel like that's really critical for next generation. With track and FX, that's fine, but for next generation, it's really critical because before that, I would have the Logitech F9. That car, it tended to be sort of, I don't know, empty or just didn't have a lot of this detail. It was very dull, so it really lacked the same kind of level of detail. But next generation is, wow, I'm super hopeful for that direct drive. It really needs that. It's just my opinion.
It's interesting too because I know there's certain people like in the Pro Series who don't use force feedback in their wheel, but then they also go mostly by sound. So you're almost like the opposite of that, kind of showing how some people can rely on most things and take away one thing and kind of fill the gaps.
Exactly. For me, I watched one of the streamers there, and their racing life, and they said they can't hear those tones. They couldn't hear the car machine, how loud it is. They're not able to hear those tones, and so they rely on the wheel, how it feels, the steering wheel. And for them, it's their approach. But for me, I understand how they feel. It's not just in gaming, but in real life too. Like out in your car, you're driving around on the road, and sometimes you feel something like it's something funny kind of comes to the wheel. Like, I don't know, do I have a flat tire, or it sort of just feels a little road wobbler or something? That's my skill. Some people rely on the sound, but for me, I just sense it. Like, I don't know, something's a little off here, and then I can get out and find that I've got some mechanical thing. So it's part of my cells that I can actually just notice that.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So, do you have any iRacing goals over the next year or moving forward? Any Pro Series aspirations? You want to maybe become a content creator, something like that?
Oh, I don't know. With iRacing, I just do it for fun, honestly. Primarily because I just really enjoy racing. It's hard to say. I won't say I would never take an opportunity to do more of that with my life, but I think with iRacing, it's just so close to my everyday life. My enjoyment is right there. So, future goals to go pro or to become, a content creator. I don't know. I hadn't really thought about that. I'm just doing it for fun. At the competition level, I just do it to race against so many different people that are amazing out there. There's some phenomenal drivers, so I just do it just for fun primarily. But I doubt I'd go pro. Who knows?
Yeah.
I don't think I'm good enough to go pro, but well, I guess we'll have to wait to see.
Maybe you're not good enough to get there, but if you ever got to Coke Series, all those pros would be trouble in the next gen car. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, that's so true. You're right on. I agree, absolutely.
And then the other thing I want to point out too is that you actually might be part of a Daytona 24 team this year entirely comprised of deaf racers.
Yeah, that's true. The plans aren't firm just yet, but we've been talking about it. We have this, deaf group that's not OVG, but more straight road, right? So they're doing a 24-hour team. This is their third year, I believe, they've done this, and they're all deaf on that team. They're phenomenal racers. They like to do the 24-hour race, and I thought maybe I would join just for kicks, to check it out. So I might do that. It might be a part of that 24-hour team. It would be great. And all of them are from Europe, by the way. Some of them, there's French and from Britain. No Americans yet. So they do use a different kind of sign language than I do. Nevertheless, we're able to use Google Translate and any of that sort of technology we need in order to understand one another with our different languages.
And then shout out also to Kyle from Storm Surge Esports too. He's I think he's also making his way in there in the team. Also, content creator. He's also deaf. Very very cool to watch too. And then the last thing that I want to throw out is that I am very angry at you because I am no longer iRacing's top half Asian American in terms of iRating, so we're gonna have to battle for that sooner or later.
I think it's a skill issue, actually.
Well, anyways, thanks a lot for coming out. Well, I don't run much next gen, but if I do, I'm sure I'll see you out there, and I'll definitely be seeing you in some streamers' chats to ban you some more.
All right. I really appreciate you taking the time to interview me. Thank you for the time. It's been a great experience. Thank you so much.
All right, thanks a lot. And to everyone else, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I hope to see you all on the track.